Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my birth experience. So I'm going to start with when I had contractions. I was having really bad contractions. My mom, like later on that night, she was staying with us and she was rubbing my feet, pressing on my feet and just trying to get those right spots for like acupressure, help me go into labor. But she was using some clary sage oil on my feet, which if you don't know, clary sage oil is known for starting contractions, but it's definitely not something that you want to do unless you're really close to having your baby. Anyways, I just felt like my contractions were so bad and I didn't know if I was progressing or not, so I told my mom, I'm like, screw it. I grabbed the bottle and she was using it on my feet and I just rubbed it all over my belly at that point. So I was pretty desperate, and that's when everything started happening and I didn't know I was in labor. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I did not know I was in labor when I went into labor. So I got on the floor and I was having my contractions, but I didn't know they were labor contractions because my sister and my sister's sister-in-law told me, you'll know when they're labor contractions because your belly will get all hard and it will come around the sides and then up and over, and then it'll start to harden like down, almost like a spider web, like you'll feel it. So I didn't want to like say, oh my gosh, I think I'm in labor, we should go to the hospital. Like, I wanted to know, I'm in labor, it's time to go to the hospital. So I was on the floor in so much pain, and my mom was like watching TV and Keegan was watching TV, and I'm like in the middle of the floor rocking back and forth, making awful noises. It was so bad. And Keegan was like, well, let's try to go to bed, maybe you'll wake up and, you know, it'll be time to go, or, you know, maybe in the morning. So we start walking back to the bedroom and it was really hard for me to walk, so I couldn't even get to the bedroom, and the bathroom is like right before the bedroom. So I stopped at the bathroom and I was like, hold on, I gotta use the bathroom, I don't feel good. So I sat on the toilet and nothing, you know, was happening. Like, I was just rocking back and forth. I felt like I was gonna throw up. I got so sick feeling. I started shaking like crazy, which I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know that that's like something that happens when you're in labor. And I'm like, I have to get in the bathtub. So I got in our bathtub and I'm just sitting there with my legs like a frog. Like, my legs were behind me. And that was the only thing that felt comfortable. And Keegan, I said to Keegan, I really think it's time to go to the hospital. I don't feel good. I think we need to go. Something is wrong. I think we need to go to the hospital. And he was like, I don't think it's time yet. Like, I'm, you know, because he was going off of me. I didn't know, so he didn't know either. And we didn't want to go to the hospital unless it was time, because the hospital is 45 minutes away. And, you know, we just didn't want them to send me home. And I said, can you get my mom? So my mom came in and she called my sister and she's like, she thinks that she might be in labor. We don't know. She's waiting for them to feel this way. She's shaking. She said she's gonna throw up. She's sitting on the toilet. She doesn't feel good. So she's like, well, take her to the hospital, and, you know, if she's 4 or 5 centimeters, like, I'll come. So we get to the we get in the car, and like I'm rushing to get everything ready. We get in the car and we are using this app that like tells me whether I should go to the hospital or not. And the reason I didn't know I wasn't in labor is because I had the app, but I was waiting for those contractions to feel a certain way, so I didn't start timing them. And they weren't consistent. I never had what I would say were consistent contractions. Like, they kept happening, but not at a certain point. Even on the way to the hospital, they weren't at the exact same, like, they didn't get closer and closer and closer, like they say. I don't know if I'm the only one that that's happened to, but mine were kind of irregular, and at different times. So when we're in the car, my mom's timing them. She's like, okay, tell me every time you're about to have a contraction. And then tell me exactly when it ends. So we did that for like 5 minutes, and the app was like, go to the hospital. So we get to the hospital, and we park the car, and we park near the emergency room stuff, because they said, okay, when you are in labor, you know, you go to the emergency room. And I'm like, okay, great. And I'm waddling over to the emergency thing, and they're closed. What kind of hospital closes their emergency room door? So I was like, what? Who does this happen to ever? And I'm trying to walk in between contractions, and every time I have a contraction, I like squat on the pavement. When the contraction was done, I was like, okay, let's go. And I walk. And then my mom's like, should I go get, I was squatting. She's like, should I go get a wheelchair? And we were like, yes. So she brings it out. We go up to the room, and I give them my birth plan. I lay down on the bed, and they check me, and they say, oh wow, perfect timing, you're 7 centimeters. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it was exciting, but I was like, oh no, this is really happening. So then she calls my sister, and she's like, she's 7 centimeters. And they're like, what? And both of them rush up to the hospital. And from then on, my contractions were insane, and it was just the most painful experience I have ever had in my life. I didn't have an epidural. I told my sister, I was like, I think I blacked out when I was pushing. I was like, I think I blacked out a little bit. And she was like, you totally did. You were like gone. And she was like, I was so worried that you were gonna die, because women used to die all the time giving birth. And she's like, literally, you were expressing so much energy. I thought you were gonna die. When I was going through from 7 to 9 centimeters, they had me, I asked if I could get in the tub, and that was great. I really liked that. And I'm in the bed, and they put a peanut-shaped ball in between my legs to try to help me keep going, because they checked me, and then I was 8, and then I was like, oh my gosh. So then they checked me again, and I was only 9. Keegan's calling me. Hi.
Hello.
I'm filming a video.
You?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Again?
Yeah.
Alright, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, love you. Here, you can be in the video. Say hi.
Alright,
Love you. Bye. Anyways, so they put that peanut-shaped ball in between my legs, and that was absolute agony. I was begging my doctor to let me push, and then she was like, okay, go ahead and push, you know, if you feel like you're ready, go ahead. And she actually said bear down, which I don't know why, but I didn't know what that meant. And I was just started like grunting, like but then they told me to push. So I started pushing, and I was probably only 9.5 centimeters. Everybody was like, you pushed for a long time. Because usually, you know, you're in labor for a long time, and then you push, and then they're out. But I was pushing and pushing. I remember she finally came at 4:38 in the morning. So I don't know when I started, but I was definitely going for a long time. I think it was over an hour. And they finally brought in, my sister asked for them to bring in a mirror so I could see. It was kind of motivating to see her, because I was so worried. I said, is she going back in? With every push, I thought I was pushing her, but then she was just slipping back in. And they were like, no, it's not happening. Anyways, I'm looking in the mirror, and her head's coming, and then it gets around her neck, and then I was like I was screaming, freaking out. I'm like screaming, please get her out. It was so traumatic. And the doctor was like, Savannah, I need you to push. And then I push her out, and then boom, she comes out, and she pooped all over me. But it was beautiful. As much as it sounds like it's gross, it was really beautiful, and I didn't care. It was amazing. But after that, I got to have a little bit of time with her at first, where the doctors weren't you know, all over me. Like maybe they gave me 45 minutes or an hour. I don't really know. I think I lost track of time, but my hospital experience, I'm just gonna say, was not something I would ever want to do again. I might, depending on the situation. I don't know, but I always wanted to have a home birth. I got a little bit scared about that because I didn't know how my body would handle birth. And my sister's, her stories of, you know, her labor kind of scared me into going to the hospital. So I think next time me and Keegan really want to plan when we're actually in a house that isn't right next to other people's houses, when we're in our own house, to have a home birth and I can feel comfortable about it, and I could do it in the tub, or, you know, buy one of those blow up things so you can labor in water, because I really want to do that. Yeah, I didn't like my hospital experience that much. The doctors were kind of cold, a little abrasive. They made me stay awake, which I feel like this was abusive. I had just had a baby. That is the most tired I think you could ever be in your life. Like, it was the most I've ever expressed any energy. Everybody else was gone, but they wouldn't let me sleep. They made me stay awake and do all this paperwork, and I was so mad. So I had her at 4:38 plus being awake that whole day before that, and then I didn't sleep till 9 when I called my mom to come back. She came back, and that's when I finally got to sleep. And throughout the night, like, they just kept coming in and messing with us and the monitor, and I just didn't feel like I got enough time with just me and her laying on my chest, skin to skin contact. And I think what I'm going to do is, before I'm even pregnant, pray about it, that I have, you know, really easy birth, nothing goes wrong, that I, you know, feel confident in my ability and all that, so that I'm not as scared. But yeah, that was collectively my entire birth experience, my labor, birth, and everything. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sure it's really long, but yeah, I hope that if any of you guys are pregnant, that you're not too scared, because, you know, I think that with your first baby, it's really, I think it's a good idea to have at least your first without an epidural. Some women don't have an epidural and they're like, boop. It's really easy for them. And an epidural can really slow down your baby's heart rate, and it's just not good. So it's really good to know how you handle labor first. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks. Bye.
In the dark, with a feeling in our hearts, felt like we